Hello, it's Neil Walters with neilsvideos.com, and today let's talk about the built-in auto sell feature that's now into the game of TownStar itself. In the upper left corner here, you click that little circle, and now you see this auto sell. And the biggest problem I have with it right now is that anytime you refresh the game, it goes to the off state. This is a killer, by the way, if you're playing in the competition server, and like every once in a while, the game will just refresh itself. So if this happens in the middle of the night, your town will go totally wild. So this is the one reason you might not want to use their auto sell script yet until they fix that. Or at least, I don't know if it's called a fix or not, but that's the way they designed it. So that happened to me one time last week. I came back, and when the auto sell's not on, you can actually drain your town of money, and then all your workers go to sleep and don't do any work, and it can totally mess up your inventory of what's in your warehouses and everything. So let's look at what the basic functions of this does. So you click customize here. Oh my gosh, and this is something interesting. I just noticed I'm actually on a different computer right now, and I've lost all my settings. So it looks like they must be saving these in something called like local storage in JavaScript or something, where it's actually tied to your computer. So I had this all set up perfectly on another laptop, but then to make the video, I came over to this laptop where I have my video camera stuff set up, and all my stuff is gone. But anyway, this is a good example of me to show you what to do. So like click on uniforms here, and I want to sell those all the time. So I'm just going to click add item. And so the count means, I'll show you an example of why to use that in a minute. But like, for example, with uniforms, you would always want to sell them every time you have 10 of them. So that's how many to keep. But let's do an example of that. Let's say wool. So I'm going to click wool here, and I'm going to set that to say maybe 8. Okay, so what that means is anytime I get 18 wools, 10 more than that, then it's going to sell 10 of them, and it will leave me or keep 8 of them. And the reason I want to keep 8 is maybe I have 2 fabric plants, and I know that it takes them time to walk over there and get the wool. So the point is I can keep selling all my excess wool, but I always have enough for my fabric plants. At this late stage of the game, there's really no reason for me to ever keep any wool because I could just build more fabric plants or whatever. So let's say you want to change that. Let's say, by the way, you click something else, like let's go to water. We'll come back to wool in a minute. And I only really need like 2 waters at a time. So I'm going to lower that down to say 5. And actually, let's watch what happens. If I now close out of this, what you see is, oh, I have 9. Okay, I was going to say I could find something like batteries. Like batteries, I have 33. So let's actually go set batteries to say 20. The battery energy symbol here, I'm going to set it to 20. You can use the up down arrows, or you can actually just come over here and type a number. So I'm going to put 20 there, click add item, and now it's going to start selling it. I don't know if it waits. Yeah, see, I don't even have, sorry, that dumb search connection thing always pops up. You see, now it's selling the batteries. They're hopping over here from there to this truck, and now it's going to send them. Now, a long time ago, I did a video called Advanced Uses of the Auto Sell Script, which was, I was talking about the other auto sell script, the one that's JavaScript that's harder to install. But most people think of like, use the auto sell script to sell the products that you want to make money from. So I really don't want to make money from the batteries, but here's the trick, or here's what I call sort of the advanced feature. I only have, whatever it is, 3 or 4 warehouses, and each warehouse only can hold 20 items. And the problem is that the warehouses have a mixture of different items in them. Like they have uniforms, cotton, wool, or cotton yarn, wool yarn, and batteries and water. All that stuff goes in the warehouses. So if your warehouses get out of balance, what happens is they can fill up with the wrong products. And like if your warehouse fills up with water or batteries, then you don't have room to put your uniforms in it. And then basically you spent however much time it takes to make a uniform, and your worker will just then throw that uniform on the street. So that's no big deal when you're dealing with something like wheat or some low-level product like that. But something like a uniform, you definitely don't want those being thrown away because it takes so much other products to actually make that one. So that's why I use the auto sell script on some of the oddball things like batteries and water. So here's my jet fuel. Now, this is what's sometimes weird. I think this is like a bug too. So since I had 20 on there before, when I click to another product, it still keeps the number 20 there. So be careful of that. So in this case, jet fuel, I want to be 0. I want it to sell immediately as soon as there are 10 items. So remember, at the truck, you have to have 10 items. I don't really need auto sell on my cotton right now because that's the only thing in my silo. So if my silo of cotton fills up, I'll just let it fill up. If I'm competing, I don't think there's, making money from cotton is really not going to make a difference in my competition level because it's such a low level product. Batteries, feed, I will never sell. Oh, gas, I do sell gas too. I see it as a very small money maker. So for something like this, I want to keep, say, 30 gas at all times. And then right now I have 52. So there'd be just a little bit of money coming in from your extra gas. See, the gas cans now are flying into the truck. Actually, 2 trucks. I have 2 depots. One's the express depot and one's the normal one. And it just kind of helps me sell my products a little bit faster than having 1 truck at a time. There the trucks go, of course, and they'll be back with money in a little bit. So the advantage of using this script versus the JavaScript one is that this one, you don't have to refresh your game. Anytime you change these numbers, they apply immediately, and so you don't have to refresh very often. The downside of this script is that if you refresh, whether you do it or whether it just happens, sometimes, like I said, it'll just refresh on its own, then you get kind of screwed basically. So let me just show you. So like right now, my auto script, just to note here, it's turned on and it's working perfectly, right? And now I'm just going to press F5 on the game and it's going to reload the browser, reload the game. And I'm going to pause the video while it reloads because that's pretty boring to sit here and watch that. Okay, so I got loaded. I'll click play now. Now we go back to this button in the upper left corner. Change my picture. Oh, there it is. Guy's face. Notice the auto sell is now off. And like I said, this can really mess up your game because what's going to happen is your warehouses will fill up with the wrong items and your money will just dwindle down to nothing over a period of time. And of course, you won't be selling the products you need to compete. And so that is really the worst thing of all about this script. You have to remember to turn it on anytime you refresh the game. And if it happens in the middle of the night, like I said, you're just kind of screwed. So basically, this is what I don't like about TownStar. I mean, it's like a love-hate relationship, right? Is that if you're competing, you kind of need to watch your game in the middle of the night. If you have Windows updates, for example, or if something weird happens to your computer, or the game just sometimes they'll just refresh it themselves. They must have the ability to do that, or maybe it's your browser. But I remember one night last week, I think I came back and the game had refreshed, and then that auto sell was off, and my game was just like totally kind of screwy. So if you're playing on the competition server and competing, I would suggest that at night before you go to bed, you switch to the other auto sell script, set all your parameters the way you want, and then let it handle your game during the night. So again, kind of your choice, but now you know what the options are. Hope you've learned a little more about auto sell in this TownStar game. And that's it for today. Have a super day, and I'll see you in the next video.